welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and thought I'd go over some stuff here about treadmills, parts and stuff like that, what all you can get out of them. And we're having our Trump coffee today. And basically what I'm doing is all the cords and cables and stuff like that came out of the treadmill. You got this wire coating that's pretty nice that you can push it together to make it bigger so you can fit it over wires. You can even go over plugs. So that makes for nice stuff. I got a whole bunch of that. And I got some 3-wire pigtails. So I got 3 wires in that one. That's a pretty long piece. And this one's got 4 wires in it, so you know that can run if you need to run 4 wires someplace. This one's got 3, and this one's got 4. Got a bunch of power cords and a couple sensor plugs that goes on for treadmill sensor, speed sensor. And we're just wrapping up a bunch of stuff here. Here we got a 3-wire wire, and it's got the plugs on the end. So this will be a nice pigtail. The only thing I'd have to do would be cut that off because, well, hold on a minute. Maybe not. We just hooked up a potentiometer, so that can be a pigtail for a potentiometer. So, hell yeah. So we'll wrap that up and put that aside for some other project. You never know when you might need to run a potentiometer that far. And then I just organize them by using some masking tape. It's easy to tear off. It doesn't turn to rubber. And anybody that's pulled black tape off of something that's been on it for a while, the pain in the butt. It's all gummy, and sometimes it depends on what tape you're using. Some of them put the white powder on it. I just pulled some off of this that had white powder on it. So that was really old. Alright, and then we got that wrapped up. Alright, then we've got a 2-wire pigtail that does have ends on both ends. So that's going to be a nice pigtail. Anytime you're upgrading motors on stuff, man, you keep all this stuff. You never know when you might need it. The key to keeping all this stuff is having a place to put it. So we're just showing you a little bit of organizing here. And some of this stuff I'll probably be able to use on the trailer. This pigtail could be a good candidate for that trailer for a remote or wiring for something. I plan to put trailer lights on that trailer also, and we're we're just trying to organize here because we got just too much stuff here on the work surface. Alright, so now what we're doing here is we're going to have this hinge mount here. So I've drilled 2 holes in this, and that's going to correspond with these 2 holes up here. Alright, so before we do that, we got to chase these threads. Alright, so now we're going to mount this. Yeah, I could take and put a piece of metal, steel like this, down here on the bottom, an ear on both sides, or for that matter just take a piece of flat metal and put up against it. We'll find something. So that means that I'm going to have to mount this and then weld it while it's on the tractor. Alright guys, we got the hitch made, and we welded these brackets on it, and we'll take that off and let you see how it goes on there. First I got to wipe the weld off of it. This trailer is going to have to be repainted. So we got to get all this off of it. See, it melted my paint when I had to mount it in order to weld it, so I made sure I got it in the right spot, and it melted the paint a little bit, but that's no big deal. We got to repaint it anyway, so I got to go get some more black hammered, because I got to go back and touch up some of these bolts and stuff. So anyway, we've got this, and it mounts right there just like that. These 2 holes and these 2 holes right here. So we will bolt this on here, and for added assurance, let me try to explain to you what I'm doing here. This metal is pretty thin, so I don't trust those threads. So I'm going to thread it down in there, but then I'm going to put a nut on the bottom side, and there's enough room to do that, so we're going to put a nut on the bottom side. And that way we assure ourselves a good, tight, solid fit. And yes, this is overkill for a dump bed, but you know, I want this to be a nice trailer. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Alright, so now we've got the hinge mounted, and next is paint the hinges. Well, no, I'm not going to paint the hinges yet. I'm going to go ahead and mount the hinges, and get the bed on it and get it set in place where I'm going to put my plates. And then I got to drill the plates, the hinges, and everything so that it bolts together. So we'll figure out what we're going to do next. So now we're going to mount the hinge, and if I remember how I did this, I think it's the big one goes on first, then the bushing goes on, then this goes on. So now let's set the frame on there. You know what? This says front, but I believe that I would have less to aggravate with on this side than I would this side, because this plate's already welded on here, but it's in the wrong place. That could be used for something else up here in this open area, so we're going to leave that the way it is. So we're just going to line up the front. And I'm just lining up this part here to the top corner of this trailer right here. And we're going to set this in place where we want it. And then we're going to bring these up and figure out what kind of shimming we need. Alright guys, we've got our hinges back to back. I took them, put them in the bandsaw and cut the 45s. Now all we're going to do is just kind of round it off with the grinder. So we're going to put a new disc in, one of those ones that was sent in my package. Alright guys, we got the hinge on it, and we ended up using 1/4" plate anyway, because all I did was rearrange the bushing and put the shank side of the bushing on the outside, which brought that further in, so I was able to get a 1/4" shim in here instead of a shim like that. And I rounded all this off down here so it'll look a little nicer, and we'll show you it working. See if I can get you in a good spot here. Now, I kind of like the idea that I put this on here, because now when the bed gets up to where I don't want it to go any further, the tire's not going to let it go anyway. So that's about all the further I need that thing to go anyway, about like that right there. And there'll be a shut-off point. I'm going to try to put a switch in there that once it gets to a certain point, it will shut the motor off to the winch. So there's our bed. So now we just gotta make all of our scissor put in here. And I'm thinking about using a piece of C-channel, 3-inch C-channel, and make 2 brackets that will swivel like that. And then where it swivels, there's going to be a pulley in between it. We're going to try this, and we're going to put a pulley in between it so that it's at the pivot point. Alright, and then there'll be a cable come through, around the pulley, and back to itself. And that's a good base start. That's a good start to figuring out how you're going to do it. So I'm just glad I got the hinge done now. And then we got to make a rest up here. I don't know if I want to use that big old god-awful heavy piece of steel. I might just make me a stand for it, special for this. But right now, the next thing that I have to do is go ahead and get these pieces welded on it, get these edges welded on it, and then weld all the way up on all 4 or all these, and then flatten the tops off, because you don't want that protruding into your wood. So we're going to take that weld off. I should have tack weld on the inside instead of going across the top, but oh well. Anyway, there's the hinge working. And I would imagine that's the end of this series, or this part. I think I'm on part 4. But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and you guys have a good one. Later.